Okay, so we've seen this pattern where we have a string and then some method name like to uppercase and then parentheses, nothing inside the parentheses to execute a method. Now that's sometimes the case, but many methods actually accept what we call arguments. Arguments are just inputs that we can pass into the method to alter how they behave. So as an example, if we were searching for a character, now this doesn't actually exist, but search for, if that was a method, I might want to know, is there an A in this string? And I would need to specify what I'm looking for, or am I searching for a J or a K or something else? So we need to be able to pass in those values, and we can, not to every single method. For example, when we're making something uppercase, what would we need to pass in? It's going to do the same thing no matter what. There's no input other than the actual string we're operating on. But for other methods, like right here, index of, we definitely need to pass an argument. So index of is going to give us the string index, the positional number, where a given argument occurs in a string. So here I have the example of cat dog. That's my string, saved in a variable called TV show. And I call index of, and I pass in cat, C-A-T. It's going to tell me, well, that occurs at index 0. And that makes sense, C-A-T, that starts at index 0. If I look for dog, it tells me index of 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. And if I look for something that's not in there, we'll get -1. So if you ever have questions about these methods, especially the more complicated ones, uppercasing or trimming is pretty simple. But if we look for index of here, or you just search what I do on Google, index of MDN, and then click on the MDN search result, we have examples, and we also get detailed information about how it works. So it returns the first occurrence of the specified value. So it's not going to be able to give us, multiple matches. For example, if I had ha ha, that is so funny, like that, and then I call dot index of, notice the capitalization. We have to match that perfectly. Just like with a variable, we have to match it. They mean different things. It's a different identifier. So index of, and if I do h, what is the first matching index of an h? 0. It's the first character. So it's not going to give us this h here. It's not going to give us that h there. It's just the first one, index of 0. Or if I wanted to know, is there an exclamation point in here? Yes, there is. It's an index of 21. Now, is there a $sign in here? Or a % sign? I meant to type a $sign, but there we go. No, there is not. How do we know? Well, we got -1. So simple enough, right? We pass in some value, a string, in this case, a single character, but I could also do this. Where's the first occurrence of, first of all, we could do a space, index of 4 right there. But how about is? Well, that occurs at index of 10. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for that I and then S. So we can do longer strings, or portions of a string, if needed. So this is commonly used to test if a string contains something. Does it contain a $sign? Does it contain a period? Does it contain the word hello? That sort of thing. Now there are other methods that require or that ask for arguments, including this one called slice. Now slice actually can accept more than one argument, and I definitely recommend looking at the docs for this one because you may get confused at some point. So slice is going to extract or slice a portion of a string, and it returns it or it gives it to us as a new string. So we can pass in two numbers, the two indices that we want to slice our string from. So if you scroll down, you can read more about the syntax. We can pass in what they call a begin index and an end index. And that one is optional. Just for the record, if you ever see this in documentation, this is the way that the docs tell us end index is optional. So you can pass in just a begin index, and that's how we tell slice where to begin extraction. All right, so let's try it. Let's just go with this same string we had before. Haha, that is so funny. Dot slice. And then if I just pass in my starting index, how about index of 5? It starts at index of 5. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's 5 to the end. It just keeps going all the way to the end. And it makes us a new copy. So if this was in a variable, which it's not, but let's put it in 1, it's completely unchanged. So how about let message and then message.slice 5. That is so funny, message unchanged. But I can also pass in this optional end index, which is the index before which the extraction will end. So it does not include this index. For example, if I go from 5, and notice we use a comma here to separate our arguments. If we have more than one input, we use a comma. This is something you'll see a lot. We'll get very comfortable with it. This is the first time we're seeing it though. So 5 is our begin index all the way up until, how about, I just want to get that, and then that's it. So what is the index of this space? Well, it's not 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? This is our slice. So we've got to go to the original string. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So let's go from 5 to 9, and that gives us that. We went from the 5th index up until, but not including, the 9th. So if I did the 10th, it includes the space. How would I get, I don't know, how about is? That's a string that I want to isolate here. Well, message.slice, and then I need to find out what is this index. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I want to go up to 11, 12, because I don't want to include 12. Just like that, and we get is. So that's slice. You can actually pass in a negative index. They tell you how this works. It's not as common, but if you do pass in a negative, it's treated as the length of the string plus your beginning index. So if your beginning index is -3, it's treated as the length of the string minus 3. So let me show you an example of that. Message.slice, and then I'm going to add in, how about just -1? It just gives me the last single character. -2, the last 2 characters. -5, the last 5 characters. So you can use negative numbers as well. It's working backwards from the end. And just like everything else we've seen, this does not impact the original string. It gives us a copy or a new string instead. So the next one I'll show you is called replace. Replace actually is a lot more powerful than what I'm showing you right now. You can use something called a regular expression to match patterns and replace a pattern instead of a specific string. But we're not going to do that because we don't know regular expressions, at least not at this point. So we need to pass in 2 arguments. The first is what we're trying to replace, and then the second is what we want to replace it with. So let's try it over here. I've got this message, haha, that is so funny. Let's replace haha. So message.replace, and then the first thing I want to search for, whoops, come back here, and then what I want to replace it with. So I want to search for haha and replace it with lol, like that. Okay? And that's what it does. LOL, blah, blah, blah. That is so funny. Now it's only going to replace the first matching instance. So if we go back to message, and I want to replace, I don't know, H's with an uppercase H or something, message.replace a lowercase h with an uppercase H. It's only going to do it on the very first one. Now there's actually a method called replace all. You can find it over here. This is not really meant to be a comprehensive overview of all of the string methods that we have. The one thing I'll say about replace all is that it's not fully implemented these days. It's not in Edge, Internet Explorer, Opera, so it will work in Chrome, I'm pretty sure. Let's try it. Replace all. No, it does not know about it here either. Interesting. Well, that kind of demonstrates my point. It's on the docs, but it's not recognized by most browsers at this point. Okay, so all of these that I've shown you in this video are methods that accept inputs. We call those inputs arguments. We pass them in. We can have one, we can have multiple. We separate multiple by commas. One more I'll just show you that you may want to use at some point is called repeat. Let's just do something like lol.repeat. And then I pass in the count, the number of times I want something to repeat. There's 2, here's 10. It's making me a new string. The original, like always, is unchanged. So just another example of passing in an input. This is a pretty simple one to understand, hopefully. I should have led with that one, maybe. So again, there's plenty of other methods we have not gone into. We don't have time, and it's just not worth it, even if we did have a lot of time to do this. These are just things you can look up if you ever need them. If you ever see somebody using one of these methods, they're all listed here on MDN. You can read about them. If you want to learn more about concat, for example, you can do that here. But I just wanted to make this point of methods are a thing. Some of them require no inputs. We use empty parentheses. And some of them ask for arguments, these inputs we pass in between those parentheses that will alter the behavior. At the end of the day, a method is just an action with a name that we can call upon, in this case, a string. But we'll actually see that other built-in values and different things in JavaScript have their own set of methods. There are number methods. There are methods that work with arrays once we get to that, and to objects. And there's all these different built-in methods. We've only seen a couple of string methods.